So, making a media product can be tough sometimes. Getting funding and ownership in the industry is important.
Damn right.
We're going to talk about it today because there's loads to cover and talk about. So, let's get into it.
Yes. So there's public service broadcasters, which are companies that provide media services and get funding by delivering a public service to its audience.
Just things like education, news, or entertainment. The BBC is a public service broadcaster.
Yes, there are. A conglomerate is a collection or a group of companies all owned by the same people or company. By doing this, you are creating a monopoly over the media industry. This is great for the company because revenue.
There are laws in place, though, that stops conglomerates from having too much power over things. Disney and Comcast are both conglomerates. Commercial ownership is companies that are owned by bigger companies. They usually get their funding from advertising and programming. Channels like Channel 4 can be considered commercial media because they have ad breaks.
Yeah, a private company is a company that does not offer shares for public sales. This means that the company in question has full control of their operations and running. This also allows private sales of a proportion of the company, which can raise significant amounts for the company and be more stable in the open market. That was really fast.
Yeah, fun. Of course! There are corporate companies too that have shares available on the open market, and after the initial sale of the shares, the company walks away with a lot of money, and the later fluctuation in the price can attract investors into projects. They might work with other companies to make corporate promotional videos about companies such as the Indigo Blue Media, or even music videos, working with individual music and artists.
There are also small independent companies in the mediascape. This means it is owned by a small group of individuals and starting from the bottom up. This might be hard for them to expand financially as much as a codependent company. An example of an independent company is Big Talk Productions, which is based in the UK.
Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of the media product is worse or inferior. In fact, they could be potentially more unique and have newer, more original concepts than bigger companies, providing a new outlook on concepts and techniques.
Well, global in some cases, these companies can have facilities all over the world.
Wow! How specific and interestingly put! Not planted question! Well, this is a very sophisticated concept to explain, but there are companies in which different areas of film production are handled. Vertically integrated companies can handle all areas of production for media production. Think of it as a factory production line of all the different divisions are coming together and handling a media product. A good example of this is the BBC.
Horizontally integrated companies just handle one specific area of media production. Companies such as Amazon, who is a distributing company.
Some companies can be both horizontally and vertically integrated. A company can handle a whole production line, such as Warner Brothers, but can also have separate companies as divisions.
Sony are also a company which is horizontally integrated as well as vertically integrated. Hope you got all that.
Totally, especially with
Damn
the rise
right.
of the... Totally, especially with the rise of the internet, there's a million ways for people to pay.
Damn right.
One of the classics is the license fee.
The license fee is a form of funding for the TV industry that is mandatory to pay by owners of a television. The license fee is issued in the form of a tax for the public, so it's government enforced. At one point in time, the BBC claimed that they had detector vans that could find the magnetic field of all the silly billies that didn't pay. But these seem to be a deterrent rather than actually functioning van. See, not paying for the license fee is technically a crime if you own a TV set. There are 27 countries worldwide that have some form of a license fee to pay. Countries such as South Africa, Greece, Switzerland, Poland and the United Kingdom. Yes, Oh my god. All have TV licenses, and in the UK it's the BBC who gets all the Wonga. What, sponsorships and advertising? And it's funny you should say that because this video is sponsored by...
Sponsorships help align a brand with a certain piece of content. Sponsorships take place on multiple scales from specific programs, whole channels or networks. Hyundai secured a 12-month deal with Channel 4 to sponsor their showings of films, with ad breaks including idents that are associated and themed to showing the film. This gives the brand a more relevant and involved feel as opposed to the general advertiser's disassociation to the shown content.
Advertising is a bit more simple. This is when an advertisement is displayed to the viewer before, after, or during a piece of media.
In cinemas, this can be trailers before the film.
This can be highly effective as a viewer's sole focus is often on the big screen, leaving a lasting effect on the viewer.
TV advertising often lands between,
Or in the
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers, get some nuts.
middle of programs.
In designated ad breaks, they engage the viewer by leaving them waiting for their program to continue.
Channels such as ITV use advertising
to fund their programs, as they are able to charge a large amount for the slots in the schedule.
As viewing figures increase,
This means that channels are able to pursue programs that pull in the most viewers, rather than being defined
by a public broadcaster's guidance, for example the Bubaka.
has a responsibility to represent all groups.
as ITV can focus on programs such as Love Island,
Or I'm a Celebrity.
Some of the channels highest rated and therefore highest paid shows.
Well, for stuff like this, like Sky or Netflix, you pay a subscription fee. Films and TV shows can be funded from money made by a subscription service. This is where a company will offer money to creators to make a media product, to put a platform where audiences and viewers pay a subscription fee to watch the show, as well as a plethora of others. The money people pay to watch the films and shows goes back into funding for more things to keep people invested in the service and people to continue to pay the fees. Netflix work like this and fund Netflix originals, which are selected and then funded by the subscription.
shows are also often funded by product placement. Product placement is when a brand pays for their logo or product to be displayed in a piece of media. This can associate a brand with characters, ideas, or lifestyles explored in the media. For example, Aston Martin is a key feature in the 007 movies, providing Bond with a plethora of vehicles showcasing their cars. Luxury, reliability, and style, all attributes that reflect positively on the manufacturer. However, in some cases, a brand can have a negative impact on the overall quality of the piece. Companies seek to control the brand image and perception. Famously, Apple have spoken about seeking to not provide villains with Apple products. Where would you go?
Well, this can depend on what you're making. Financial aid comes in a variety of forms, from grants, money given in support of a project that does not need to be repaid, to supported loans, when the interest of the loan is paid by a third party until the benefactor can repay the loan. Grants are often allocated on a project's content and will not be picked up by organisations or governments if the film has a particular cultural themes and falls into an area that is underrepresented in the media. Grants are available in England from organisations such as the Arts Council.
If you are just starting out in the industry, development funds aim to help emerging creators into the industry. They often come in a similar form to financial aid, with companies such as BFI offering this service, helping to keep the British film industry fresh and relevant, as the BFI directly benefits from a thriving British film industry.
Oh yeah.
Well, you then need to look for an investor. This is private capital. Private capital is when a company or individual supplies funds in return for a cut revenue. This sort of investment is like an investment in a business and relies on the content having additional revenue funds once the project is complete, as investors will require a return to make the investment financially viable. This return may be generated by sponsorship, ticket sales, or any other means of after production revenue. Private capital is most useful to get a project off the ground.
Outro.
Well, that was very boring. I hope you learned something though. We sure did.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Are we done? No.
To me!
Are we done? Please, I beg, no more takes.